church would wise up and quit allowing these one-on-one, behind closed door interviews. And I had posted this story on my personal Facebook wall, which I avoid posting things about the church because I love my family members that are in the church. If they're happy there, fine. So I try not to post stuff like that. I posted this, and for the most part, most people agreed with me. I had one friend who said, well, I'm sure he was released immediately. He was. But it's too late at that point.
Well, like, that makes it okay.
You can't say, oh, well, we released him, so we're not lying. We did the right thing. We released him as soon as we found out. Well, what if you just quit doing closed-door interviews? Then you'd still have to release the guy because he's a scumbag and he's going to prison.
Yeah, I mean...
But you don't, like...
Yeah.
And more of these stories keep coming out. I mean, I remember seeing as a child, well, not child, I guess early teenager, when all the stuff with the Catholic priests and all the abuse in the Catholic Church was coming out. I remember seeing that thing, oh, that'll never happen to the Mormon Church. That'll never happen to, well, it's been happening. It's probably happened for years. And I think people are being much more careful with their children now than they used to be. Because I think you have a generation of people who were abused and their parents didn't address it and didn't know how to deal with it because you didn't talk about those things. You have those people that are raising children or have raised children who are like, no, I'm not going to let this happen to my child. And the only way the church is going to stop closed-door interviews with minors. Now, I had a friend who commented, well, our bishops have always had us in with the interviews with our kids. Her oldest is 12. So they've had baptism interviews at 8 and probably 1 or 2, you know, interviews to go to the temple, which is, you know, it's great.
But that's not really that age where they're going to be asking you if you've masturbated, orgasmed.
Right. And I had another friend who commented that she didn't know what masturbation was until questioned by the bishop about it when she was going into Young Women's. Oh. And she's only, I don't know, she's a couple of years older than me.
Yeah.
So it's not like she's, you know.
Yeah.
She's not like 50.
And how old would that have been going into Young Women's?
12.
Yeah, okay.
12.
Good.
So, I think the church needs to end closed-door interviews with minors. Now, if adults feel like there's certain things they need to confess to their bishop to feel that they've been forgiven, fine. If you as an adult...
They're grown-ass consenting adults.
Right. If you as an adult want to go tell your bishop
that you fornicated.
That you fornicated with loose women. Those are the only kind of women you can fornicate with. Right?
Yeah.
Feel free.
Yeah.
So, Sam Young, who is my hero, he started a movement. He was a bishop in the LDS Church, and he's been asked, well, what did you ask people? He said, I stuck to the questions on the paper. The questions were, you know, do you obey the law of chastity? That's the sex-related question in the temple recommended interviews and whatever interviews. And he says that he as a bishop never got into any sort of detail or anything, which is good for him. He shouldn't have. And if someone confesses a sin to you, I was always taught that a sin is a sin is a sin. You don't need the details.
Right.
To tell someone, here's what you need to do to be forgiven. You don't need the details to tell them that. The only reason you need the details
is because you're creepy?
Is because you're creepy. And you're horny. Because your wife in her garments just doesn't do it for you.
Asking small children, teenagers, I guess, how many fingers they use, because I heard that was asked to somebody.
Yeah. I mean, that person might have, I don't know if that person was an adult or not. But still.
Yeah.
Maybe we just, you know, if someone says, well, I did something wrong that was sexual, I feel like you'd be like, okay, here's how we're gonna handle it. I don't think you need details.
Even if you're super, super, super indoctrinated, like, yay, Mormon God my whole life.
Right.
Like, if you were to go in and be asked those questions, are you just gonna be like, let me tell you about how many times I masturbated last week? And feel, like, comfortable talking about it? Or is it still uncomfortable?
It's very uncomfortable.
So then, as a bishop, who is the leader of the congregation, yes?
Yes.
Don't you want people to feel safe and comfortable with you, like they can tell you about their sins, so that they want to talk to you? So maybe you shouldn't ask them overly personal questions and creep them out and make them uncomfortable.
Right.
Because I feel like it's a fear tactic almost at that point.
Oh, it is.
Like,
there's a man in town who was my bishop growing up who I still to this day cannot look in the eye because of something I thought I needed to confess that was not something I need to confess to. And instead of saying, you're a good kid, just stop. I don't need to hear this.
He let you keep going?
He let me keep going, and I think it was, fast, which I can't fast, I learned from trying to fast at 14 or 15 or however. I was in high school, so I was probably 15. He told me to fast and not take the sacrament for a week, and which was fine, like, whatever. But I still think the answer should have been, you can stop. You didn't do anything wrong. Go home. Like, there's so much guilt and shame. Like, I remember growing up feeling guilty and bad for every little thing. Like, every little thing.
And that's not healthy.
No, it's not. And it's still, I mean, there's still, like, I still get wrapped up in, oh no, I shouldn't have done that, or I should have done this, or I should have done this different, or... And I think it was because when you're raised in a culture where so many things are sinful, it's like, there's not, they say like, oh yeah, you know, pray and, you know, feel like you've been forgiven. How do I know? How do I know that I have prayed sufficiently and feel sufficiently forgiven? You don't know. So you live with the shame and this guilt of this thing you did 5 years ago. Jeez. Because, well, I don't know, maybe I didn't try hard enough. Maybe I didn't do it just right. Maybe, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah. Well, like, my comparison, like, you know, very nondescript. Like, I don't even know what denomination of Christian we would be considered. Like, just go to church, whatever. Basically, don't be a dick. We were taught, like, a sin is a sin. No matter how bad it is. You just shouldn't sin because it's bad. And then you pray and you're good, you know?
Right.
Like, just, hey, I did a thing today. You pray to God. And if you know it was wrong and you mean it, then he forgives you.
Well,
the end.
Right. And that's how I think it should be. Or even, I mean, I'm not Catholic. I don't know. I mean, I know some Catholic people. Even the Catholic idea of confession where you go in a little booth, the priest can't see you. I mean, chances are you're in his congregation. He can hear your voice. He knows who you are.
Especially if you live in a small town.
Well, right. But, like, I can appreciate an anonymous, you know, or semi-anonymous, this is what I did. Okay, go say 4 Hail Marys and have a nice day, brother or sister, child, or whatever priests call
Not
people.
sitting across from each other in an office, face to face.
Right.
Because, yeah, that's weird.
Super weird.
Oh.
And I just think that there's also issues with, so people will go and confess a crime to their bishop. So say some guy sexually abused his 10-year-old neighbor girl. He was left to babysit, which there is a case where a guy was babysitting and abusing children that was Mormon, and he told his bishop, and, you know, oh, well, we don't want to ruin his life, so we're not going to call the police. No! Call the police! The church is not a substitute for the law.
No.
So I think there's been a lot of cases that have come out, too, where someone has confessed, and so if someone confesses a crime to a bishop, what do you think the church's instruction is to do next?
Something horrible, not talk about it?
No, if someone confesses a crime to a bishop, the bishop has a 1-800 number for Curtin and McConkie, who is the church's attorney, so they can get legal advice on how to handle this situation.
Oh.
And basically it comes down to if your state requires you to report it or not.
Oh.
In most states, because here's the thing, even if during the most of the week you're a plumber, if you are a Mormon bishop, suddenly now there's a clergy privilege, right? In most states that you don't have to report what someone confesses to you in your role as a member of the clergy.
Oh.
I use the term clergy. Clergy?
Clergy?
I use it loosely.
What is that, like lawyer-client privilege, but for religious people?
Kind of. I mean, like, if you, you know, I mean, I know, like, with the Catholic Church, if you confess something, you know, they're bound to not tell anyone. I mean, I think there's states that if it involves children, you have to report.
I hope.
I haven't researched state laws. I'm not an attorney. I feel like I say that every day of my life.
Probably.
I probably do.
Oh. So basically, I mean, okay, so bishops are dudes.
Yes.
Are there any women that have any type of anything in a church that could be semi-leadership?
So the women lead a church, the Relief Society, which makes Diana giggle. So, giggle. Yeah. The Young Women's. There are no My Maids, Beehives, and Laurels anymore.
They just changed that, didn't they?
I know they did. It makes me so sad.
Yeah.
Tragic. And the women run the primary.
Okay. So they're kind of...
But they have to do all this under the bishop's direction. So... there's not an option where if you're a woman and you want to confess, and I'm saying a woman, I'm saying a grown woman, not a child.
Grown-ass woman.
Grown-ass woman. And you went on a hot date. Things got a little, you know, a little hot.
Heavy petting?
Ugh, I hate that word. Yeah, you let some guy rub your boobie. Over your sweater.
Oh, God.
Or under, I don't know. I mean, whatever you're into. I prefer under the sweater myself.
Either way, it's bad.
It's bad. You don't have the option of feeling like, I'm going to go tell the Relief Society president this because she's a lady and she's been there and she understands. And, you know, sometimes the Relief Society president's a younger, you know, not, like, I was in singles ward. So, in singles, I think our Relief Society presidents were usually like mid-20s, close to our, you know, most of the people in the ward's age. So you don't have the option of going to tell her, you know, about what happened and how you feel guilty, and her say, oh yeah, it's okay, you know, don't take the sacrament for a week or two, which is a very shameful, because guess how you know who's doing naughty things when you're in a singles ward?
You see them not
you
taking
see
the
them
sacrament?
Not taking the sacrament. Or coming in after the sacrament's been passed. Like they just overslept, but church was at 1 in the afternoon, so...
There was traffic.
Sure, because we have so much of that here.
Yeah. So, my point, like, couldn't they, if they wanted to make it less cringy, make a change? So you go talk to the bishop, but there's a second person in the room
you would think.
who's potentially of the opposite gender from the bishop, meaning a woman.
You would think, and I did hear that now they have, for youth, so this is for youth, you can bring an adult of your choosing into the interview. So whether that be your mom, your dad, young woman's leader that you're comfortable with, that's an option now. I haven't gone to church in 9 years, so I don't know how that's being implemented. My one friend said that her kids have never, you know, her and her husband, one, have always been in their interviews, which is great. Like, I think that's a great step. I think a better step is don't tell people there's certain sins they have to confess to their bishop.
Yeah.
Like, and here's the thing, if you've murdered someone, the police need to be called.
Yeah.
So don't go tell your bishop, call the police.
Yeah. And if you're a bishop and somebody says, yeah, so
I got bored this weekend and I killed a dude.
I killed a guy.
Call the police.
Pretend like you're not gonna call the police. And then call the police.
Yeah.
if they confess the sin, and the sin is a crime, call the police.
Right.
If they confess a sin,
Did you
and it's stupid, don't guilt them into hating their lives.
Did you watch the No Crime and Sin documentary on Amazon?
No.
You should watch it.
Okay.
Y'all should watch it too. It's literally maybe, I don't even think it's an hour long. It's maybe like 45 minutes. So, I'm not even going to sum it up. I'm going to let you watch it. It's short. You can watch it. But basically, a person confesses, well, so I think a mom goes to her bishop or stake president and tells them that her husband is sexually abusing 2 of their children. Oh. The man was excommunicated from the church for a time. Police were never called. He did no time in prison.
Oh.
And he was eventually allowed back into the church, which is fine. I mean, if you believe in repentance and forgiveness and all that, fine. And his children were told that there was a note on his church record that he wasn't to be alone with children.
Oh.
His new wife was a primary teacher. They show up at his house and there's kids at his house. No. Had the police been called, he would have been a registered sex offender. Like, initially, say they called the police instead of,
Like they should have.
going to the bishop. And that's another problem in the church, is people think, oh, I'll go to my bishop. A lot of bishops, they're not trained to deal with any of this.
No.
They don't want to be involved. If a crime has been committed, call the police. At least call the police first. If you want to seek comfort and spiritual guidance from a church leader, fine. But call the police first.
Yeah.
Let the police do their job.
Crime is bad.
Yeah. Let the police do their job. Is the justice system... I can't talk. I'm all fired up now. Is the justice system perfect? No, it's not. But at least there's a record. At least there is... This person was charged. This person was at least suspected of something.
Right. Or, maybe this person was convicted and
Or
they're
convicted.
a registered sex offender.
And now they're a registered sex offender.
So, it's good information to have.
I mean, I think it's the unregistered sex offenders you really have to worry about, but those are the ones who, people went to the bishop instead of the police.
Oh, yeah.
So had people gone to the police, they would be registered.
Right. Because, people who abuse kids and even adults, they never do it more than once. I mean, it's only ever just
No.
one
It was
and
just
done.
that
So
one
if
time.
you tell your bishop, they won't turn around and do it to the next guy's kid that is alone in the room with them. Because they're men of God. They would never do anything wrong.
Sure. That's what we're going with.
Definitely.
So, I guess I should sum up that Sam Young's my hero. Sam Young started a movement. He was a member of the church in good standing. I mean, I think he had, I've listened to more interviews with him, and, I think he had some issues with the church and, as far as, the factual basis of certain things. But he had decided that, well, I like church. I like these people. I'm going to keep going. And then he found out from one of his daughters that she had been asked sexually explicit questions in an interview. And of course, no one wants to ask their parents what masturbation is. So she Googled it.
As you do.
Right, because why? Is that really what you want your children to Google? Really? I mean, nothing you're gonna find is child-friendly.
No.
So he found this out and he was livid. He was like, he's like, when I was a bishop, I would have never asked a kid that. Never.
Yeah.
So he starts a movement. He signs a petition to protect LDS children, to quit asking sexually explicit questions of children. Series of, he did some demonstrations, and he was eventually excommunicated for wanting to protect children.
That sends mixed messages.
Right. So if you're a sex offender, or want to be one, go to the Mormon church, Because they won't tell anyone.
Yay!
This is why my children, if I ever have any, will never step foot in the Mormon church. My parents are Mormon. They take my brother's kids to church with them. So my mother will be in for a rude awakening if I have children and I don't let her take my children to church. Because I won't.
Yeah.
I will not.
It's fair.
And I trust my parents. I don't think my mom would let anything bad happen to any of her grandchildren.
But if you're letting your kids go behind closed doors,
Right.
you don't know what's happening.
Right.
And what was their reasoning for excommunicating him? Like, you're talking against the...
I think it was questioning the leaders of the church was basically what it came down to. I mean, you can look up Sam Young and
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what the letter he said. Because they have a council. They have a disciplinary council. Which is, I think, well, if you're a priesthood holder, it's the stake president and the stake high council, which I think, I don't know how many guys are on the high council. Maybe 12. I don't know. I'm guessing. And they have a disciplinary council and decide what to do with you. So you get to make your case. I think the bishop or someone presents the case against you, and then they make a decision. And in recent years, they have taken to... They excuse you from the room, they discuss what their decision is going to be, and then they send you home and send you something in the mail. Either we've excommunicated you or not.
Alright.
Well, and I think like with Sam's execution, oh god, that escalated quickly.
That exploded.
You can cut that out. Excommunication. There were a lot of supporters that showed up at his stake center to support him. And they don't want, the church doesn't want bad publicity. The church only wants good publicity.
So you gotta get rid of them.
Right. So, and the church also plays this game where, oh, well, excommunication's a local decision. That's up to the local leaders. I don't like to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I guarantee you there was a call from the church office building to Sam's stake president being like, you gotta deal with this guy.
He's causing waves.
It has not shut Sam Young up at all.
And it should
Now he has expanded his message to protect every child. And
because a lot of children get a lot of horrible treatment in other religions and everywhere in life.
well, and even, I mean, people are assholes.
Yeah.
Kids are abused
Yeah.
everywhere. It's sad, but it's true. And we could all do a little something to stop it from happening. And the fact that you try to stop it from happening and a church kicks you out. I literally, when I found out Sam had been excommunicated, I got online, quitmormon.com, which I'm sure you've heard me talk about before, and I resigned my membership. And it was the best decision I've ever made. I no longer have to tell people, oh yeah, I'm Mormon. Like, I can be like, nope, not Mormon anymore. Like, I have a friend who, well, you know my friend. She's like, well, you're a Mormon. I'm like, no, not anymore.
No.
I am no longer a Mormon.
Oh, Lord.
Is there anything else we need to discuss on that
I think we're
somber topic?
probably good on that one.